Good morning, boys and girls. So today we are going to talk a little bit about author's viewpoint. That means what the author thinks or how they feel. So the author, remember, is the writer of the story. And let's think about the story we've been reading lately called The Art Lesson. Now, this book, The Art Lesson, is a story by Tommy DePaula. He is the author. And this story is about his very own childhood. So, we might be able to figure out what the author is thinking by clues given in the writing. Let's look at one of our worksheets to help us out, to help us think through. Okay, so here is your worksheet, page 212, and it's a chart that shows what the author thinks or what he might think. So for here, page 293, Tommy drew what? Well, first let's look at the columns. So the first column we have here tells us what the author actually says. So what the author says in the book, in the words. And then on the right side, the right column, it shows us what the author probably thinks. So it's a place to organize what the author probably thinks based on what the author says. So let's try and think very carefully about this. So here on the chart it says what the author says. On page 293, Tommy drew blank everywhere he went. So let's look at page 293, shall we? Here it says what? It says he drew pictures everywhere he went. So Tommy drew pictures everywhere he went. And then let's look up page 299. It says Tommy drew pictures on his, do you remember? On his sheets. So because of those two facts that the author included in this, because of those two facts that the author included in his story, what does the author think about drawing? What do you think the author thinks about the drawing? Remember, this story is about him when he was a little boy. I think the author thinks that drawing is fun. And I would write drawing is fun here. Okay, now we're going to look at this section. Let's look at what the author says on page 302. In kindergarten, the blank, so page 302, so let's read that again. Page 302, in kindergarten, the blank didn't stick to the paper. Do you remember what it is? The paint was awful and the paper got all wrinkly. Miss Bird made the paint by pouring different colored powders into the different jars, then mixing them with water. The paint didn't stick to the paper very well and it cracked. The paint. So in kindergarten, the paint didn't stick to the paper. Let's look at what the author says on page 303. In the wind, the paint blew off the what? If it was windy, when Tommy carried his picture home, the paint blew right off the paper. So the author said, In the wind, the paint blew off the paper. So what does the author think about painting in kindergarten? I think he thinks it was awful. Now let's look at what the author says on page 313. Tommy wanted to use his own 64 blank. 313. He wanted to use his own 64. And besides, Miss Landers won't let me use my own 64 Crayola crayons. So Tommy wanted to use his own 64 Crayola crayons. That's what the author told me. Also on the same page, page 313, Tommy told the art teacher, real artists don't what? Page 313. I'm going to be an artist when I grow up, and my cousins told me that real artists don't copy. So because the author says, Tommy told the art teacher, real artists don't copy, what do you think the author thinks about it? What does the author think about real artists? Let me think. That means, to me, because of this page, Tommy wanted to use as many colors. Also, he didn't want to copy because he wanted to be a real artist. So what does the author think about real artists? They use lots of colors and they use their imaginations and they don't copy. Very good. So thank you for listening. And as you read, listen very carefully for clues that might tell you what the author might be thinking.